to Title Talk with Title Leap. I'm Jim Brown, Florida real estate attorney and founder of Title Leap.
And I'm Alexandra Nieto, title manager for New Path Title.
And it's important, Alex, that we mention the date today because we're going to talk about an important event that starts today. It is April 10th, 2020, and today is the first day of enrollment for Paycheck Protection Program benefits. And that's going to be the topic of today's Title Talk.
And today's the first day of enrollment for independent contractors?
Contractors, exactly.
Okay.
So the federal government set aside a chunk of money in the first round of stimulus benefits, 1.4 trillion, and then there was a piece set aside for paycheck protection, 350 billion, and corporations, limited liability companies, the application period opened last Friday, the April 3rd, and today independent contractors can apply. And so I wanted to talk about independent contractors because that's what predominantly are our realtor base. And so I want to talk about how realtors apply for those benefits. So without further ado, I am going to screen share a PowerPoint presentation that we have.
So this will tell them who to contact in order to start the application process?
Yep. So if a realtor wants to know more about payroll paycheck protection, they can go to TitleLeap.com. They can click on Realtor Resources, click on COVID-19 information. I'm assuming that the screen share is, yeah. And so you're going to scroll down to general information. You're going to click on alta.org, and that's going to bring up a PowerPoint presentation of payroll protection and how you apply. So I said 1.4 trillion. It's actually $2 trillion. Big chunk of money. To qualify, you have to be a business of less than 500 employees, and the application period started April 3rd for businesses, as we talked about. It ends at June 30th for all businesses, but the independent contractors who are realtors, and realtors can be sole member limited liability companies, realtors can be PAs, or realtors can just be them personally taking money in the form of commissions. Generally, they're going to get 250% of their average monthly payroll, and there is loan forgiveness as long as you use the money properly for every penny you receive. How much are you eligible for? Basically, to be eligible, you have to be a recognized domestic entity or self-employed person. You have to be located in the US, and you have to be doing business before February 15th, 2020, and have less than 500 employees. There are a couple of categories of ineligible businesses. Basically, you have to not be in bankruptcy, you have to be not committing any crimes, but it's pretty liberal. I mean, just about, they want to make this program easy. And I want to stress one thing, don't think of this like a mortgage. Think of this more like applying for something, and the only thing that's going to be verified is what you communicate to the lender. It's not going to, there's no lengthy payroll demonstrations or things like that. Most importantly, how much can I borrow? Up to 250% of the average monthly payroll cost. So you can take the income that the realtor earned for 2019, the total gross income and benefits, divide it by 12 and multiply that times 250%. And so that number is going to be the amount that the SBA will pay you through your local lender. So the federal government created the fund. The SBA is guaranteeing it, and the local lender is the one who gives you the money. And we'll get more into that in a minute.
Now, Jim, at 250%, that sounds pretty high. Is there a cap?
Yes, $100,000 is the maximum you can qualify for per employee. So if you made, let's just say you're an agent, you made 120 grand last year, you're capped at 100. So your maximum benefit just for payroll alone is going to be $8,333. So let's just say you made 60 grand last year. 5,000 was your monthly average, and you would get $10,000 in benefits. But it's 250%. So you would actually get 12,500 in benefits, because we're going to go over what you can use that additional money for in a minute.
And would you happen to know if we're paying taxes on this money?
You are not. You're not paying taxes on the money, and you're not paying taxes on the debt forgiveness. It's going to be considered your normal income. What qualifies as payroll costs, compensation to employees, salary, wages, commissions, cash and tips, payment on vacation, parental, family medical leave. There's some details in here for employers, but I want you to just focus on this particular slide, commissions. So you're an agent, and let's just say you don't have an LLC, you don't have a PA, you just take the money to you personally, you still qualify for PPP benefits. You can still make application, and if all you have is your commission records, that's sufficient. What you can't include from an agent's perspective, you can't include compensation over $100,000. Now we're going to talk about what you were talking about. How do I apply? You go to a federally insured bank that does SBA loans. I'm going to give you access to the slide so you can click on this Paycheck Protection Finder, SBA Finder. That'll give you a list of banks in your area. You want to start with your bank. If you have a bank that you use and they know your business, they know you, you want to start there. You're going to have some clout, you're going to have some swing, and you're going to have that personal knowledge of who you are and how you do business. If
they're not doing the SBA loans, I guess they should be able to direct you to someone locally who is.
Yep, exactly. And if you have to go to a bank that's not familiar with you, you may have to provide LLC documents or some type of identification verification, but it's not supposed to be lengthy and it's not supposed to be difficult. So it should be pretty easy. You're going to make application. I've given you here a application form so that the agents can click on this and see what's going to be required. You're just going to need paycheck verification. So you're going to need your tax return from last year, your 1099s from last year, a profit and loss statement from last year, whatever you have. If you just had bank records and you circled your incoming commission checks from last year, that would be sufficient. And this is what we just talked about. Here's a copy of the application. It's only a couple of pages. The questions are a little technical in nature. You may need your tax preparer to help you. Then you're going to fill out some eligibility questions regarding the lawfulness of your work and the nature of what you do. You're going to give the bank some authorizations and certifications, not lengthy, very straightforward, and basically you're done. You're going to tell the bank what you made last year. You're going to divide that by 12, multiply it by 250%. That's the amount you're eligible for. And then the SBA is going to authorize the funding. Your bank gets funded and the money comes to you. The lenders must underwrite this stuff. They can't scrutinize it. If your business was in place before February 15th, then you're going to qualify. Must the lender verify the borrower's submissions? No, the lenders don't verify the submissions. Again, they're going on the face value of what you represented. Documents for eligibility, how can you spend the money? So here's the most important part. After you've gotten the application in and you get the money, you're going to get 250% of your payroll. You're going to be able to apply money to payroll costs, costs related to the continuation of healthcare benefits, all the things that you were paying for out of your normal income and your normal commission checks, including rents and utilities and interest on other debt obligations. And we can talk more about that. And as long as you use 75% of the money towards your payroll, then you're going to be forgiven the debt. And that other 25% you can use to cover utilities and things like that. And I want to be really clear about that. If you apply the payment to payroll and you apply the payment to utilities, and 75% of that payment that the SBA gave to you was applied to your payroll, which is the money to you. It's confusing because when we talk about payroll, we're just talking about the commission money to you. So in that $60,000 example, if you took $5,000 for the first month and $5,000 for the second month, and then your other $2,500 was paid to rent, utilities, and related expenses, then you are not going to have to repay this money. It's as simple as that. And what we recommend doing, and what I've seen recommended in many of the discussions I've been following, is you get your paycheck protection money and you put it in a separate account. So you create an account for your PPP funds, and you have an account for your operating funds. And then when you need to make a payroll payment, and you have 60 days following the receipt of the money to make your payroll payments, they can be for past payments or future payments, you make it out of that separate account. And then when you have to verify how you spent the money to the SBA within 2 months following the last day of the month of the money that you drew upon, you have 60 days to get debt relief. You give them bank records for that account that you set up, and you show the independent payments, and that will be the easiest way to get the debt relief. Did that make sense?
Yeah, so keep the money in a separate account, and
Yep.
that way you have a clear record. It's not commingled with your other
Exactly.
payments or other money, and it's a clear record of what you spent the money on. Now, wasn't there and I remember you mentioning this yesterday, I think, a certain amount of time that you had to spend the money in?
Yes. So if you get funded, let's say May 1st, you have 60 days to spend the money. And then after you spend the money, you have 60 days to demonstrate to the SBA that it was a qualified payment. You spent it on payroll.
What if you didn't spend all the money?
Good question. So if you don't spend all the money and you give the money back, then you don't have any obligation to account for the money that you didn't spend. So that was our next slide. Can a portion of it be forgiven in whole or in part? Absolutely. So if they give you the $12,500 example on the $60,000 paycheck, and let's just say you only draw the money for payroll, you don't draw money for expenses, rent, utilities, and you give back the $2,500 and you only spent the $10,000, does that make sense? Then you're
Right.
no
I'm
debt
following you.
obligations.
Okay.
And if you spent, let's just say 12,000 on payroll, you would have no debt obligations as long as it was qualified.
Okay, so basically, as long as it's qualified, whether you spend it all or you don't, as long as you adhere to those guidelines, it should be forgiven.
Yep. Yep,
That's
exactly.
amazing.
What is forgiven? Amount spent during the 8-week period after disbursement, payroll costs, as we talked about, rent, leases, mortgage, utilities, as long as you don't spend more than 25% on the mortgage, rent, utilities, then it's going to be 100% forgiven. So in our, again, back to our $60,000 example, you get $12,500, you spend $10,000 on your own income. Month 1, you take out $5,000, put it in your personal account. Month 2, you take out $5,000, put it in your personal account. During that period of time, you spend $2,500 on your separate office, your rent, your utilities, if you have that stuff, other interest. So if you had other things you were paying interest on, not the principal, but just the interest payments, and it added up to $2,500. You take that bank record from that separate account you set up, submit it to your bank, and you should get 100% debt relief. No taxation on the debt relief, no taxation on the receipt of money, but it would qualify as income, so it would have to be reported because it's replacing your payroll. So you would report it on your taxes just as you report any other income. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's no independent tax. Think of it like your payroll just continued. So whatever tax obligations you had on normal commissions, you're going to have on this money as well.
Okay.
If you lay off staff, there's some provisions for using the benefits, but that's basically it. I wanted
So
to
if
go
you have
back.
a transaction coordinator, you would pay them out of this money as well, but you should keep them employed
Exactly.
at 100%.
So if you had, no, they can be, their employment can be reduced up to 25%. So let's just say, good example, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's just say you had a transaction coordinator that was on your payroll, not an independent contractor, not somebody who got paid piece rate, but you had a W-2 employee.
Mhm.
Then you would be able to get stimulus benefits based on what you owe them. So you would take out your own money based on your income, and you would get some benefits to compensate them for their income. And then again, you get the 250% based on them. So if they were making $60,000 a year and you were making $60,000 a year, then you would get payroll protection benefits for them, payroll protection benefits for you, and you would make those same withdrawals out of that separate account. One for you on month one, one for them on month one, month two, one for you, one for them, and then pay the utilities and rents. And you would get debt relief from that would be free money to you to pay your staff and yourself.
Perfect.
But again, if they were an independent contractor, then they would have to make a payroll protection application for themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. That was what I wanted to go over. Again, anybody who wants to access our information on this stuff, you can go to TitleLeap.com. You can click on Realtor Resources, go to COVID information, and you can find the outline that we just went over and a whole bunch of important links to SBA qualified lenders and SBA programs. Again, you want to start with your bank. And if you're a baby boomer like myself, the idea of a handout isn't super attractive. I mean, we were taught to work hard and show up every day and give it the good fight. But I think in this situation, if you guys were around in 2009, 2010, and we saw the way that mortgage stimulus benefits package was implemented and it went to the banks, this didn't really trickle down to us. In this situation, I think this is a great program. It's funding the economy from the bottom up. It gives us money to go out and go back to restaurants quickly and start spending in our local communities, and think of it as a way to really make your local community strong. Don't hesitate to take advantage of this. I think it's a wonderful program. If it does succeed, which I'm confident it will, it'll be one of the most beneficial government small business programs I've ever heard of. Did you have any questions?
No, I think it's all pretty clear, and I know it's all laid out on the outline, so hopefully everyone will use it, because like you said, it's really going to be very beneficial, especially those small companies who have employees who need their paycheck every week and maybe aren't bringing in the clients or the work as they were doing prior to this event.
Yeah. Cool.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm the producer of Title Talk. The discussion you just listened to is not legal opinion and should not be taken as legal advice. Title Talk is an educational show that we designed to teach realtors how to spot the issues and what the framework of outcomes and resolutions might be. Whenever we refer to a contract, we are always referring to the current FAR bar as-is and non-as-is contract forms. If you have any questions that you'd like to see answered on our next episode, please call us or text us at 561-838-9595. And as always, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell icon so that way you can get a notification every single time we post a new video. And be sure to connect with us on social media, because we are on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. As the corona situation develops, we know how important it is to stay up to date, so make sure you follow us on social media so you can see every new update as it comes. Alright guys, thanks so much. Thanks for watching another episode. We'll see you next week, and stay safe.